really moved to make a video today, and I'll tell you why. I was, you saw the title. This is another one in the series of RealMen that I've been doing sort of sporadically throughout, outside of the schedule, of what does it mean to be a real man? And I think it's a fucking huge question that we as men face, and I think it's what women face dealing with men. There's a hell of a lot of confusion about it. There's a lot of talk about vulnerability. I certainly talk about vulnerability and the power of vulnerability. And yeah, I speak to so many men who feel like, yeah, they know, they understand, they're enlightened enough, they're aware enough that they need to be more vulnerable, but at the same time feel like they get shit for being vulnerable. That their women want them to be vulnerable, but only to a point, and then it's not okay. Then you're a wimp or whatever it is. It's awfully confusing. So I like I said, I was moved to make this video today because we started out with, I read something earlier today, an article from a gentleman who wrote this piece about, ostensibly on the surface it certainly was about how he took his business from 0 to 1.21 million or something like that. I can't remember what it was. So that's what it was officially about. It was about business. But in truth, what it was really about was about a guy who was massively, massively in debt and sort of was struggling with that debt and had gotten to a point where he was considering suicide because he had so let down his family. And I think that so much of that pressure is on us guys, that do we exist? Do we have any value if we don't produce? Do we actually even count if we don't produce? I mean, there's centuries, maybe millennia, of men feeling like we don't have value unless we're producing something in the world, unless we are bringing home the pigs, bringing home the bacon in some shape or form. And that, when I read about this guy wanting to commit suicide and walking into his young daughter's bedroom a week before she was going to be 1 year old, and going in that bedroom to kiss her goodnight, but also to kiss her goodbye, because he was considering suicide, it really shook me. I mean, it made me realize how much fucking pressure we put on ourselves as men, but that we put on societally on men to produce. And we're so separated from who we really are by this desire to produce. And I realize how strong it is in me because something happened. I was having this conversation with somebody, somebody who is incredibly generous and kind and caring and loving, somebody who I value very much in my life, who was feeling this fucking enormous amount of pressure because of a gift. Because they had given a gift that wasn't working out perfectly. See, it's not good enough to just produce as a guy. We sort of feel this pressure to not only produce, but to produce perfectly. To produce perfectly. And if you don't produce perfectly, then whatever you've produced is of no freaking value. And so we lose so much of the essence of what it is we're doing. We then become removed from what it is we're doing. So here's a person who's doing something incredibly generous and kind, who suddenly is even removed from their own generosity and their own kindness into feeling like maybe they fucked up because it's not quite perfect. And that in itself is so sad that this person would go to that place, but so sad that we as men are conditioned that that's where we're supposed to go to, is that we're supposed to do it all perfectly. But here's what's interesting about it. this situation came up. I'm going to be totally transparent with you. This situation came up, and I went right into my shit. So the situation was not perfect, and what did I do? I went into my conditioning, I went into my program, I went into my stuff, and that was to take fucking control. I took control. I started doing this and doing that and doing these things to make sure that the problem got solved, to make sure that the situation got dealt with, to make sure that it could come back to perfect. I took that on. I had no right to take that on. First of all, it wasn't my place. Second of all, I emasculated my friend. I did something that I should never have done because my friend was trying to do something and was trying to do it great. And instead of appreciating that, I fucking jumped in and took control, did my man thing, and robbed him. Robbed him of his manhood, robbed him of his gift. And I feel so deeply regretful, so deeply sad at that, and realizing that is not only my shit from what I learned to do as a boy, but that this is so much of how us men operate. We want to jump in, we want to rescue, we want to fix the situation, not just with women. So just please understand this, because there's a lot of, women, and you've heard me talk a lot about this, about in the hashtag he for she, is that we've got to stop rescuing women. Women don't want to be rescued. Women don't like us when we rescue them. They may say they want to rescue, but when we do, they'll resent the fuck out of us if we do it, so stop doing it. But the conditioning, and just try to understand, is the conditioning is this, that we are supposed to not only just rescue women, we're supposed to rescue other men, we're supposed to rescue situations. Instead of allowing things to be as they are, instead of honoring the situation, I jumped in. That is so deeply sad and so dishonoring to this other person who was doing something kind and generous. Of course, I've apologized, and I'm sincerely apologized to that person, and I will do it right here again. Maybe this person will see this, I don't know. But I am genuinely, deeply sorry for jumping in and doing my shit. But it really crossed my mind how much we as guys carry this shit around. We've got to produce perfectly. I'm reading that story about that man going in to kiss his daughter, not only good night, but goodbye. And here's why he said he did it. He said because he'd failed his family. He had failed his family because he was now, I think it was 700 grand in debt. Is that who we are? Is that really who we are? Are we only lovable if we produce? Are we only lovable if we produce perfectly? So here's my challenge to you. Whether you are a woman or a man, so please listen to this. My challenge to you is to go find a man and tell him that you love him because you choose to love him. Not because he's a leader, not because he's a producer, not because of any of those things, but because you choose to love him. I think that what us men need to know more than anything is that we are lovable. I know there's a lot of shit with women too, and I'm not in any way devaluing or minimizing that, but this focuses on men. And what I really challenge you to do is to go find a man and tell him that you love him because you choose to love him. Not because he produces, not because he produces perfectly. But all of us men need to know that we are loved. We need to know that we don't have to run off to the stable and get on our white horse and ride to the fucking rescue. When you see, I did that and I didn't even realize I'd done it. And I see how much hurt and pain that caused my friend. I feel such deep, healthy shame for that. I don't want to do that to my friend. I robbed him. We as men need to know that we are loved. So I said, if you're watching this, whether you're a man or a woman, find a man to tell him you love him. We need to hear that from the women in our lives, that we are lovable without producing. But we need to hear that from our brothers, from other men. We need to know that other men are not looking over our shoulder, ready to jump in and fix it. We need to know that we're lovable just the way we are, just being who we are. So that's my message to you. And I'll tell you why. Because at the end of that article that I told you about, where that gentleman was considering suicide and went and picked up his daughter, he said he went to kiss her goodnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and spontaneously his daughter woke up, sat up in her crib, put her arms around his neck, and wouldn't let go. And he sat with his daughter, soothing her for about an hour and a half, and he said what he realized was that his daughter's love had saved his life. So go find a guy, tell him you love him, and I'm talking to you guys as well. As a guy, go find another man. Phone him if you can't see him, text him, Skype him, find a guy, go tell him that you love him, because you may be saving his life. Because I'll tell you something, most of the guys who feel that way, you would never fucking know. You would never guess in a million years. We've all been trained to hide. So go tell a guy that you love him. That's my challenge to you. Stay curious, my friends. Stay curious about what's bubbling under the surface of the man that you love. And if he can't tell you because he doesn't know how to articulate it, because he hasn't been given the social conditioning that's allowed him to access his emotions, I know that that's hard to deal with, but at least give him the room by telling him that you love him for no other reason than that you choose to. I want to thank you for being here on this unscheduled show. I hope that you found value in it, and I hope that you'll share it with other people and who may also find value in it. If it was valuable to you, give me the thumbs up, give me the hearts, and hit the share button, all of those things. I appreciate you doing that and letting other people in on this. Until next time, this is Dov Barron of FullMontyLeadership.com saying thank you. And thanks for all the hearts and the thumbs up from everybody. Thank you, Shah, for your note there. So true, she says. We all love you. That's very kind of you, Shah. Travis says, yeah, I can relate. Very good, Travis. I'm sure the men know that. Carl says, great stuff. Thank you. Let's have a look. Kevin, he for she. Yeah, please use that hashtag. Let's support women. Gordon, Happy New Year to you too, my friend. Leah, hi. Good to see you too. Let's have a look who else is on here. Kevin says, love the dove. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Okay, so to all of you, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. I love you all. And you know what? I just want you all to know I love you because I choose to love you. Because each one of you make a difference in my life. Some of you I know very personally. Some of you I've never met in person. But I want you to know that I love you, and I'm grateful for you. And I'm grateful for you sharing this with others so that they can feel the love. And let's all go out there and let at least one man know that he's lovable just for being who he is. Dov Barron, FullMontyLeadership.com. I'm out.